So what I'm trying to say is that there is beauty to be found within every culture of life. Behind every shadow of darkness, you are able to discover the freedom of the light that exists behind every door and crevices of this world, of society, and of the entire universe. So you have to be the person to only recognize the positivity of the light that can be found within every human being. Alright, namaste, salutation, and peace in Yahshua. Good afternoon, or I should rather say good evening. So, good evening, and welcome to my theater. So, today's topic in particular that I wanted to speak of to begin today's journey was something in particular that I thought personally was important and needed to be publicly addressed in my grievance. And by the way, for those of you who may not know, obviously you may not know, because considering of the fact that you have not yet already known of what I am drinking. However, I will disclose that what I am drinking is not alcohol. Obviously, I live the complete straight edge lifestyle. This is Japanese cold green tea in a Japanese imported cup here. Oh, periodically from time to time I will be drinking this. Oh. Now, in all seriousness, what I wanted to discuss was something that was brought to my attention. What I basically wanted to discuss was not of the variety of cultural tea. However, this was in relevance as a significant part of this conversation was related to, or should I say is related to, culture. In particular was the anime culture, and as well as the manga and cosplay culture, and of all the surrounding misconceptions that ultimately... Oh, and by the way, Jen is in the other room. She's painting a portrait from Chinese calligraphy for a canvas, so she's not here right now. Believe it or not, I hold a numerous amount of respect that surrounds the entire collective of the anime manga culture in itself. And I do not believe in the misconceptions of any fractions that surrounds the anime culture in itself, and or the cosplay culture or the community in itself. Upon attending my first anime convention as of earlier this year, I've begun to realize how intellectual minded that they are. They truly are a genuine spirit. The majority aspect of them are. While of course, sorry, in every culture, obviously in every culture, you ultimately would obviously find, or at least discover, the darkness or negative aspects that has a connection or ties in with the broad different cultures of the diversity within each culture of the world. However, you have to only recognize the positive lights within every human being, or at least within every culture. And when you discover the light of that particular individual, or at least that particular community or individual, you have to embrace it for what it is, and you have to embrace it for what it is. Not only embrace it, you have to accept the positive aspects that and characteristics that is developed as time progresses with that particular individual or the culture or its community. And one of the greatest fascinations and influence that inspires me personally was I was someone originally from Tokyo, from Japan, believe it or not. And as someone who holds a Japanese bloodline that courses through my veins of this body, I could honest to God say to every one of you who absolutely enjoys or appreciates my culture for what it is, I thank you. I truly thank you to everyone who recognizes only the positive aspects that could be found within my culture, my Japanese culture. And it makes me proud as an American that, or at least makes me proud as a human being of the world and of how others go into such in-depths to appreciating such cultures. For those of you who may not already know this channel in itself, as well as this video that you're watching, it surrounds itself around the concept for an idea as it gravitates the intake into who you are as a human being of a positive influence. In this video, this channel, everything that surrounds it is meant strictly for the purpose and its dedication of our passions and a passionate intensity of sharing a positive influence and to share a light upon each culture that we may discover as human beings, as well as it's an influence upon myself as well. And ultimately that is the most important, vital aspect of what we need to do as human beings, is for us to receive the intake and responsibility within ourselves as human beings to sharing that light, sharing that positive influence with the rest of the world, and for us to dedicate ourselves into the commitment of this journey of life and this journey of consciousness. And ultimately what I had discovered of the anime culture, and I loved it, I appreciated it for what it was. And upon every single individual that initially I had met there, I appreciated them for who they were, or who they are as a human being. And I was blessed. I felt blessed in my life to have met them and to ultimately become friends with them. And it is a lifelong journey. It is a commitment that you discover within a relationship of a mutual benefit, of a mutual friendship that could be found within your friendship. In the anime culture, yes, they were shy at first when I had first met them. When I had first arrived there at the cosplay convention itself, they were rather very timid, very shy. More or less not very sociable. However, shyness and the psychological behavioral patterns of being antisocial is obviously found within each culture, each human being. It depends on who you are as a human being, and have an absolute passion and adore for my Japanese culture. I wanted to say this. Thank you. Thank you for bringing to light of my Japanese culture. It truly does mean the world to me. It means the absolute world to me. And I cannot thank you enough because of it. One of the greatest misconceptions of surrounding the anime cosplay culture was that how so many of us have psychological issues, mental disabilities, anxiety disorders, personality deficiency disorders, or at least some sort of shadows that exist within us as a collective, as a society, within our own culture, within our community. And the truth of it is, whether if you are someone who you suffer with some sort of antisocial disorder, or I should say a state of mind, because in truth, in reality, you have no disorders. You have absolutely nothing wrong with you. You should embrace yourself for who you are as a human being. You need to embrace yourself. And while you've discovered a collectives of positivity, you are truly a blessing to being alive. I wanted you to know that right now. Never feel ashamed for who you are as a human being. And I'll tell you that exactly once again, so that you can intake that into the consciousness of your mind. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. There's everything that is right with you. When society said that there was something wrong with you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You have absolutely nothing wrong with you. As Jen always specified, our imperfections are of our perfections. And you have nothing in this entire world to feel ashamed or to feel belittled or degraded for who you are as a person, as a human being. You're something more than just ordinary. You're beyond mediocre. You are something original. You're something vibrant. So you have to take this ball of a collective of thoughts and of positivity, and you have to channel this into even something greater and above and beyond yourself. You have to reflect. You have to deflect the oceans of darkness and of obstacles. And you have to be someone to push out and drown out the negatives and the darkness, and to push it towards one or either side of the room. And you need to suffocate that. And to drown out the negatives from your thoughts and sink into your collectives of your psychology, of your mind, for only the positives. Hey,
Cody.
Hey. Well, hey Jen.
Hi.
Welcome here. Well, Jen had actually created this for a drawing.
I messed up on the tree, the big one.
Tree.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. It looks artistic. It looks beautiful. Hey.
Hey.
You have to be the one to take it upon yourselves to embrace the collectives of positivity and to incorporate that into your own lives. And I would only hope that, well, what Jen and I would hope, that through watching our videos, you would ultimately become more inspired and to take upon the gravity of influence and a positive perspective from watching our videos and incorporate that into the adoption of your everyday life, of your existence. Existence is vital, and we have to discover the light and push out the darkness or the negatives before it's much too late. Now, who you are is the very foundation and essence of the beauty that makes up of who you are. And there's not a thing that you should change of yourself except for the progression for the positive. And if you have negative aspects and characteristics to your own personality, you should work towards that as great as possible to to overcome the oceans of your obstacles, to overcome the trials and tribulations and challenges of your lives. And one thing I appreciate so much about the anime culture is that, it's occurred to me while in my observation and study of human nature, of psychology, that could be found within the anime culture itself, was that, now this is not for pertaining to absolutely everyone, this is only pertaining to at least half or the majority aspect. However, there are those of whom I had met, and from what I heard from sources, indicating and specifying of how much of the collectives that make up this culture in particular, there's so many who suffer from one form of a psychological imbalance. Now, whether that to being spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, or what have you, there are those who had suffered traumatic events in the past occurrences of their lives, or maybe there's a possibility of a greater chance of those whom still suffer through this current day, in this current time. For those of you who do suffer, I wanted to say to those of you, was you have to find a positive source to seek your redemption, to overcome those obstacles, whatever is of an ailment of negatives or darkness that is causing an affliction within your lives. And before it's too late, I would hope for those of you to watch our videos, to ultimately become inspired by our videos, and to incorporate the light into your lives. And I'm open, I welcome anyone with open arms. That is who I am in my philosophy of a universal perspective of hope, faith, and charity and love, and to having an collective of an open mind. And if anyone suffering with anything of any type of darkness of any kind, I'm always here to talk with anyone. I'm always here to give advice and to help you to the best of our ability. And I hope that everything improves for all of you. I know that, within the anime culture, everyone dresses up in ways to pretend to be being someone who they're not. Such as like superheroes or your fictional characters of, anime or manga or from comic books, TV shows, whatever. And we do that in a way psychologically to escape the reality of our lives, or at least escape the reflection of who you are. And most important thing to consider is that even when you put on a costume, from the time that you put the costume on to yourself to the time where you take it off, you should always remember who you originally are. And who you are is just endless, it's infinite, it's perfect enough. And always remain true to who you are and to embrace who you are. Alright. So I hope that this video had made sense to you. I hope that you would share this video with others, and for my words of wisdom and words of encouragement would ultimately help you, or at least help someone else that you might know who is suffering right now. And let us unite as a humanity, as a society, as a collective, for us to embrace our differences and yet our similarities, and for us to gradually evolve and develop ourselves in a process of this journey of consciousness and of this life, and for us to become greater than ourselves and to work together and to work past the afflictions of our differences. And at the end of the day, we are all but one and the same. We are human beings. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this inspiration project. And, well, cheers everyone. Hope to see you guys next time. And peace in Yahshua. God bless. And talk to you guys soon. And thank you for watching. And see you.